twin storms, one region, Humberto, Imelda, and the new reality of rapid intensification. This is a special report for Sunday, September 28th, 2025. I'm here in the Virgin Islands with a clear, jargon-free update on the two tropical systems driving today's headlines and what they mean for our islands, our neighbors, and the US East Coast. Everything you'll hear is based on official meteorological updates and reputable reporting. Here is the bottom line. Hurricane Humberto is a powerful, large Atlantic hurricane that peaked at Category 5 intensity on Saturday, September 27th, and remains a dangerous major hurricane over the western Atlantic today. It is not expected to make landfall in the Caribbean. Still, it's already sending long-period swells into Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands, creating life-threatening rip currents and hazardous seas. Meanwhile, a second system, Tropical Depression 9, expected to become Tropical Storm Imelda soon, is organizing north of Cuba and near the Bahamas, steering offshore of the southeast US with a period of heavy rain and gusty winds for parts of the Carolinas if it edges closer before curving out to sea. So, where are the storms right now? As of this morning's official updates, Humberto is over the subtropical western Atlantic with extremely dangerous winds and a very large wind field. Swells from Humberto will continue to impact the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda through much of this week, and will reach the US East Coast beginning Monday, producing life-threatening surf and rip currents. Forecast guidance shows the core tracking northwest to north and then arcing near Bermuda around Tuesday into Wednesday. Tropical Depression 9, the system likely to be named Imelda, is located near the Bahamas, moving slowly north-northwest in an environment supportive of intensification to a tropical storm. Most guidance keeps the center offshore, but close enough to spread rain, coastal flooding from high surf, and blustery winds at times from Florida's east coast to the Carolinas into early this week, especially if it tightens up and temporarily strengthens before turning back out to sea. As for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, what does it mean locally? For the US Virgin Islands, the direct wind threat from Humberto is low, but the marine and coastal threat is high. Expect long-period northeasterly swells pushing offshore Atlantic seas to around 7 feet, spreading into the coastal Atlantic waters and the Anegada Passage. That means dangerous surf at north and east-facing beaches, strong rip currents, pockets of beach erosion, and hazardous conditions for small craft. Beachgoers, swim only at guarded beaches, obey red flags, and keep kids well away from rock jetties and outflow channels. Rip currents are deceptive and can overpower strong swimmers. Boaters, small craft advisories, are in effect or expanding. Secure moorings, check bilge pumps and lines, and plan shorter, near-shore routes if you must travel. Night crossings and exposed passages are not advisable under swell conditions like these. Coastal residents and businesses expect loud surf and periodic run-up at vulnerable spots during the highest tides. Move loose gear and sand level inventory above the splash zone. The Bahamas and the southeast US could have is a near-coast squeeze. For the Bahamas, Tropical Depression 9's bands bring heavy rain and increasing gusts as it strengthens, with localized flooding a concern. Along the southeast US coast, especially Georgia and the Carolinas, the most likely scenario is a close but offshore pass that still sends high surf, dangerous rip currents, and periods of rain through Tuesday. A low probability, higher impact solution still exists where the center could press closer to the coast before turning out, so some coastal flood advisories and tropical storm watches may appear as a precaution. Timeline to watch, in plain language. Today Sunday, Sept 28. Peak swell energy from Humberto continues to arrive in the northeastern Caribbean. TD9 organizes near the Bahamas. Naming to Imelda is possible at any time. US East Coast sees building surf. Monday, Sept 29. Strongest rip current risk along much of the US East Coast begins while the USVI sees lingering long-period swell and occasionally rough nearshore seas. TD9 should be a named storm by now if intensification proceeds. Tuesday, Wednesday, Sep 30, Octo 1, Humberto passes near Bermuda, potentially bringing tropical storm force condition to the island. The secondary storm gradually turns away from the southeast. Swell in the northeastern Caribbean eases late in this window. Why storms are revving up so quickly? The rapid intensification problem. Rapid intensification means a storm's winds jump by at least 35 miles per hour in 24 hours. Warm ocean water is the fuel, and today's oceans are running hotter than historical averages across large swaths of the Atlantic. Recent analyses show that major Atlantic hurricanes are more likely to undergo rapid intensification, and that human-driven ocean warming has added measurable power to peak winds. That doesn't mean every storm explodes overnight, but it does explain why forecast cones can shift from tropical storm to major hurricane risks within a day or two, and why emergency managers preach early, low-regret preparation. Key takeaway: rapid intensification is no longer rare. It's a pattern our region must plan around, especially for ports, power, and tourism that depend on steady operations and clear lead times. Weather Service Journalism 101. What to do today in the Virgin Islands? Stay with official channels. Bookmark the National Hurricane Center and NWS San Juan for the freshest track, surf, and rip current statements. Official products update every few hours. Social posts can lag or be inaccurate. If you live or work near the water, move vehicles and gear off low-lying beachfront, lash down tanks, dumpsters, and loose materials. Expect spray and salt. Protect electronics and storefronts accordingly. If you rely on medical devices or refrigeration, check backup power plans. Make a quick medication and charging checklist in case of brief service interruptions related to the marine event. Use coolers and ice packs to bridge any short outages. Power and water updates. Report outages through WAPA's official report outage page and watch their outage viewer. Consider enrolling in alerts. Territorial resources. Review VITEMA Hurricane Guidance for family plans, go bags, and communications. The VI Department of Health has practical storm health tips. If you haven't updated your plan since early summer, do the 10-minute refresh now. Here is a quick explainer what those advisories mean. Advisory: a routine update on a storm's position, intensity, and track. The National Hurricane Center issues these every 6 hours with intermediate updates when needed. Watch: conditions are possible. Time to prepare and adjust plans. Warning: conditions are expected. Time to act on your plan. Small craft advisory: for mariners, seas and winds hazardous for smaller vessels. We have these in our local waters tied to Humberto's swell right now. What we know and what still has wiggle room: high confidence. USVI and Puerto Rico face dangerous rip currents and rough surf into early week. Humberto remains a large, powerful hurricane over the Atlantic and threatens Bermuda with tropical storm force conditions as it passes nearby Tuesday, Wednesday. Lower confidence. Watch for changes. TD9's exact strength and closest approach to the southeast US coastline before it turns away. A more consolidated core could briefly ramp up winds and increase rain along parts of the Carolinas if it wobbles nearer. Monitor local NWS offices for coastal flood statements and any watches or warnings. Now, here are some frequently asked questions answered simply. Question: we're not in the cone. Are we safe? Answer: the cone shows track uncertainty for the center, not where impacts occur. Swells, rip currents, and rain bands often extend far outside the cone. For us, Humberto's swell is the issue, regardless of track. Question: can I surf this safely if I'm experienced? Answer: even experts misjudge long-period swell. If you go with a partner, pick guarded breaks, and respect red flags. When in doubt, don't paddle out. The risk to rescuers is real. Question: could TD9, soon Imelda, turn into a big landfall? Answer: current trends favor offshore, but small track shifts matter near the coastline. Think coastal flooding from surf, rip currents, and periods of rain and wind more than deep inland impacts unless guidance changes. Check your local NWS office for the latest. A brief word for Bermuda and our maritime listeners. If you have family, cargo, or travel tied to Bermuda, watch the Bermuda Weather Service. Expect deteriorating conditions Monday with the potential for tropical storm conditions as Humberto passes nearby late Tuesday. Maritime operations in the Western Atlantic should expect massive seas and long-duration disruptions to schedules and routing. And finally, a closing guidance for listeners in the Virgin Islands. Respect the water. Today and Monday are high-risk surf days. Keep your family and visitors informed. If you operate boats or waterside businesses, secure gear, review moorings, and plan around small craft advisories. Stay official. For the latest tropical storm and hurricane products, go straight to the National Hurricane Center. For localized surf, marine, and flood statements, check NWS San Juan. For outages, use WAPA's online reporting and alerts. For household readiness, tap Vitema and the Department of Health. We'll keep our coverage focused on clarity and actionable steps. If you remember just one thing, let it be this: you don't need a direct hit to face dangerous conditions. The ocean is already talking. Listen to it and check those official updates before you step outside or push off the dock. Stay safe, and we'll keep you informed. Safety note: follow instructions from local authorities and heed all warnings from the National Hurricane Center and NWS San Juan. Social media model maps can be outdated or misleading. Always verify with official sources.